Listen to me very carefully. If you're lying awake tonight and your mind refuses to rest, it's not because your body is tired. It's because your spirit is carrying what it was never meant to hold. Peace doesn't come when problems disappear. Peace comes when presence appears. The presence of the Holy Spirit is not the absence of trouble. It's the assurance that trouble has lost its power over you. There are nights when the noise in your soul grows louder than the world around you. You try to silence it with thoughts, distractions, even prayer that feels like begging. But true peace is not begged for. It's received through surrender. The Spirit of God cannot dwell in a heart still wrestling for control. The moment you let go, He moves in like a gentle river and quiets the storm within. Some of you cannot sleep because your mind is trapped in tomorrow's uncertainties. You are replaying conversations, rewriting mistakes, and predicting disasters that may never happen. But hear this truth. When you live attached to what you cannot control, you become a slave to anxiety. Detachment is not weakness, it's trust in divine sovereignty. When you release your grip, heaven releases its peace. The Spirit of peace only speaks in stillness. If you want to hear His voice, you must quiet your fears. He doesn't shout over your worry, He whispers in your surrender. Every sleepless night is an invitation, not to worry more, but to let go deeper. The Holy Spirit cannot fill a heart already occupied by fear. Empty yourself and He will fill you with rest. Peace is not something you chase, it's something that manifests when your spirit aligns with purpose. When you know who holds your life, you stop fighting for control. Detachment is a sign of maturity. It means you've learned to care without carrying, to love without losing yourself, and to hope without holding God hostage to your timeline. So tonight, if you cannot sleep, don't fight it. Instead, breathe and say, Holy Spirit, I surrender. Let that become your worship. Let that become your prayer. Because the peace you seek is not found in the absence of pain. It is found in the presence of the one who never leaves you. When your heart finally releases what it cannot fix, the Spirit will do what you cannot do. He will quiet your mind, heal your emotions, and wrap your soul in a peace that passes all understanding. And in that holy stillness, you will rest. True peace is not the product of perfect circumstances. It is the result of perfect surrender. Many people spend their entire lives trying to construct peace by arranging their world, fixing relationships, earning more, moving away from pain, or fighting to make others understand them. But peace that depends on control is an illusion, because the moment something slips beyond your grasp, that peace disappears. The human soul was never designed to carry the weight of control. Control belongs to God, and peace belongs to those who trust Him with it. When you try to control life, you are declaring that your understanding is greater than God's wisdom. You become restless because your spirit is at war with the truth of your design. The human heart was made to depend, not dominate. The more you hold on, the more anxious you become. The more you plan every outcome, the less you leave room for divine intervention. Peace does not visit the planner, it abides with the surrendered. There is something profoundly freeing about letting go of what you cannot dictate. It is not passivity, it is spiritual intelligence. Surrender is not giving up, it is giving over. It is saying, God, I don't need to know how this ends. I just need to know you are with me in it. When that becomes your posture, the storms may still rage, but they no longer define you. You begin to live from a center that cannot be shaken, because your peace is not anchored in the waves, but in the one who commands them. Many believers misunderstand surrender. They think it means doing nothing. But surrender is actually an act of power. It takes strength to let go. It takes faith to release your grip on outcomes and trust the unseen hand of God. Control is an attempt to play the role of the Creator while living with the limitations of creation. That's why it exhausts you. Every time you try to control what only God can manage, your soul grows weary. You weren't made to orchestrate every detail of your life. You were made to obey divine guidance and rest in divine timing. Think of how the world began. God spoke and creation obeyed. There was no struggle, no force, no argument, just harmony between word and response. That is peace. Peace is alignment with divine order. When your will is aligned with His will, rest follows naturally. But when you resist that alignment and try to manufacture results through human effort, you step outside the rhythm of grace. That's when confusion enters, fear increases, and the mind loses rest. There's a reason why people can have everything the world celebrates: wealth, love, recognition, and still lie awake at night. It's because control creates tension, not tranquility. The soul cannot find rest in something it must constantly hold together. The more you control, the more you fear losing what you control. But when you surrender to God, the outcome no longer determines your peace. Your peace comes from knowing you are in the hands of the one who cannot fail. When you live surrendered, you begin to see life differently. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? You stop demanding understanding and start walking in trust. Surrender replaces resistance with revelation. The Holy Spirit cannot bring peace to a mind still arguing with God's will. But the moment you stop resisting and yield, peace flows like a river into every corner of your being. There are moments when God will intentionally let your plans fail, not to punish you, but to free you from the illusion of control. He lets the systems you built collapse so that your soul can finally breathe again. Some of the greatest peace you will ever experience will come after you've lost what you thought you couldn't live without. Because in that moment, you discover that your security was never in the thing. It was always in Him. Peace is not passive. It's active alignment with the Spirit. It is choosing again and again to trust God's wisdom above your own understanding. Every time anxiety rises, you have a choice to tighten your grip or to lift your hands. One leads to bondage, the other to freedom. When you release control, you are not giving away power. You are stepping into divine partnership. God cannot fill hands that are already full. But when you open them, He places in them what is truly meant for you, and with it comes rest. The Holy Spirit operates in a realm that transcends logic. You cannot experience His peace while trying to predict His methods. He will often lead you through seasons that seem uncertain, yet every step is ordered. When you surrender, you begin to sense that order. You realize that even in delay, there is direction. Even in silence, there is instruction. Surrender allows revelation to replace confusion. You begin to see that nothing is wasted, not even your waiting. When your heart is surrendered, fear loses its vocabulary. Worry no longer has authority to dictate your emotions. You no longer wake up asking, what will happen, but declaring, whatever happens, I am at peace. This is not arrogance. It's spiritual maturity. It's the recognition that your life is not random, that divine providence governs every detail. Peace becomes your proof of trust. The evidence that you believe in God's control is not in your words. It is in your calm. Many people pray for peace but refuse to surrender. They want comfort without change. But peace is not delivered, it's developed. It grows in the soil of surrender. The deeper your TR, the greater your tranquility. The Holy Spirit will not wrestle you for control. He waits until you invite Him in. The moment you yield, His presence replaces your panic. His whisper quiets the storms of your thoughts. You realize that you were never meant to manage outcomes. You were meant to manifest faith. Surrender changes your posture toward life. You begin to understand that peace is not something you pursue. It's something that pursues you when you are aligned with God. You stop striving to make life work and start abiding in the one who holds it all together. You no longer chase people, opportunities, or explanations. You rest, knowing that whatever is meant for you cannot miss you, and whatever is not meant for you cannot stay. In surrender, there is wisdom. You begin to discern what is worth your energy and what must be released. You no longer react to everything that tries to provoke you. You learn that peace is not the absence of storms, but the mastery of your response to them. The surrendered soul doesn't panic when plans shift, because it knows purpose is never in danger. Every delay, every closed door, every unanswered prayer becomes an instrument of divine orchestration. True peace is the echo of trust. It is the calm assurance that even when nothing makes sense, everything is under control, not yours, but His. You don't need to hold everything together when the one who created everything is holding you. The more you surrender, the lighter you become, because peace is the reward of release. And the Spirit of God will always rest where there is rest, not in striving, but in surrender. Detachment is one of the deepest signs of spiritual maturity, yet it is often misunderstood. Many think detachment means you stop caring, stop feeling, or distance yourself from love. But true detachment is not a cold withdrawal from life. It is a warm surrender to God's sovereignty. It means you have learned to love without needing to control, to give without expecting, and to serve without being enslaved to the outcome. Detachment is not indifference, it is trust at its highest form. When you are attached to things, people, or outcomes, your peace becomes fragile. It rises and falls with circumstances. But when you are detached through faith, you remain centered no matter what happens, because your security no longer depends on external conditions. Detachment is a shift of ownership from self to spirit. It's saying, this doesn't belong to me, it belongs to God. You still care deeply, but you stop carrying what you cannot control. You still love, but you no longer fear loss, because love that is surrendered cannot be taken. It is rooted in eternity. The Spirit teaches detachment through experience. God allows certain things to be removed, not to hurt you, but to teach you that your peace is not in them. He removes false anchors so that you may find the true one. When you depend too much on people, He creates distance. When you rely too much on plans, He changes them. Each disruption becomes a lesson in trust, a reminder that peace doesn't come from what you hold, but from who holds you. Detachment allows the Holy Spirit to operate freely within you. When your emotions are tied to outcomes, you resist His guidance because you fear losing something. But when you are detached, you can hear clearly. You're no longer praying from panic, but from peace. You stop saying, God, make this happen, and begin saying, God, have your way. That is the prayer of a mature believer, one who has shifted from control to confidence. To be detached is to be available. It means your heart is free for divine redirection. When you cling too tightly to your own desires, even good ones, you block new blessings from entering. Detachment makes room for miracles. It teaches you to let go gracefully, to wait patiently, and to receive humbly. The detached heart does not chase, it attracts because it rests. You will know you are growing in detachment when disappointment no longer destroys your peace. When you can lose something and still remain thankful. When you can be misunderstood and still remain kind. When you can see plans fail and still believe in purpose, that is trust. It is the Holy Spirit living through you, proving that your faith is greater than your fear. Detachment is not about losing interest. It's about gaining freedom. It is the inner posture that says, I am safe even when I don't understand, because your peace is no longer dependent on what happens, but anchored in who never changes,